The Islamic State terrorist group expanding into new territory at an alarming rate. A loose network of ISIS affiliates popping up in about a dozen countries now, as you can see on this map. And that goes beyond their home base, which is, of course, in Iraq and Syria. General Michael Hayden is former director of the NSA and the CIA. He is now a principal of the Chertoff Group. General, good to see you here. Good morning to you.
Martha.
It is an alarming rate. I mean, you look across Yemen, Lebanon, Jordan, all of these countries now have these governorates, as they call them, ISIS calls them, popping up in these countries. How alarming is this?
Well, it's certainly a matter of concern. Martha, I think you can kind of look at ISIS as in three concentric circles. The inner circle is what you described as their homeland, Iraq and Syria. There, I think we've kind of stabilized the situation. We've begun to erode, but we've got an awful lot of work to do there yet. Certainly haven't reached a tipping point. Now, the phenomenon you've just mentioned, that's the second concentric circle. That's the affiliates. That's the franchises popping up. And that right now, as you indicated, is a real growth industry. I don't think ISIS has tight control over them, but they're certainly inspired by ISIS. They love the brand, and they're trying to imitate the tactics that ISIS has shown in Iraq and Syria. And then the third circle, more amorphous, more dangerous to us, though, because we're in that third circle along with our Western European friends. That's the Charlie Hebdo, that's the events in Brussels, the things, the self-inspired, the self-radicalized, taking a cue from ISIS. So there's still some growth.
It's an interesting phrase. You say they love the brand, and that is helping them to sort of pick off some of these former al-Qaeda operators who are not so excited about that brand anymore because of the way that that's evolved. So interesting. So I know that you are on the team that is going to be advising presidential candidate if and when he decides to run, which it certainly looks like he's going to, on foreign policy. So, you know, if you were talking to him, and I know you have not had those initial meetings yet, you say, what would you tell him to do? What would your biggest concerns be about ISIS?
Well, the governor gave a speech in Chicago last week, and I think he hit a very important theme, and I must admit he didn't get into details. That wouldn't be appropriate, but the theme was American engagement. And I think Governor Bush represents the tradition in the Republican Party of Republican internationalism. And that, I think, is one very important element here, Martha. We have to be engaged. And frankly, we're paying the price now, facing what we're facing with ISIS, for being disengaged in Iraq and Syria 1, 2, and 3 years ago.
Yeah, you know, I think the president would say just the opposite, that they've been undergoing bombing campaigns, that they have pushed them out of Kobani with American help. They would say it's a success story.
I would say that we've stabilized the front. We've corrected the front a little bit with the Mosul Dam and the Baji oil refinery in Iraq, but we certainly haven't begun a rollback of ISIS gains yet, and we're still waiting for the Iraqi military to become something more, Martha, than a Shia militia. Yeah. Because if it's the Shia militias that are retaking this territory, we're back to square one. We're back to the Sunnis in Iraq viewing their government as predatory.
Yeah, and we all know that this is basically a Sunni-Shia battle. The deal that appears to be emerging with Iran, which would basically put off weaponization, nuclear weaponization for 10 years from Iran, is this a concession to Iran? Are we trying to sort of put ourselves on the side of Iran in the ongoing battle in the Middle East?
I don't know that we're trying to put ourselves on the side of Iran, but you can make a case, Martha, and I don't know this to be true, but you can make a case that we've gone gentle with Bashar al-Assad in Syria because he's an ally of Iran. And you can also make a case that we might have gone a bit gentle with Vladimir Putin in Russia because we need Russian support for the nuclear agreement with Iran. So that centrality of this nuclear agreement may be affecting other choices in American foreign policy.
It certainly appears to be. You know, in terms of advising Jeb Bush, what would you say to him about Iran?
Well, I would say you need to be not from Florida but from Missouri when it comes to a deal with the Iranians on their nuclear program. I will be healthfully skeptical about the agreement. I do not want to reject anything out of hand. I want to look at the details, Martha. But one thing I know has to be in there, and that is incredibly invasive snap inspections anytime, any place in Iran. Otherwise, we can't verify this agreement.
All right. General Michael Hayden, thank you very much. Always good to talk to you, sir. We'll see you next time. You bet.